I hope you're ready. Industry-wide change is here. I think a lot of games like Oblivion Remastered are really going to set precedent for the future. Releasing complete games, no microtransactions, no storefronts, for $50. That is under the average price of new released games. I understand it's a remaster, but it's kind of a new game. Kinda. We're getting games like Space Marine 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Black Myth Wukong. These games, they're like $60. I don't know about Space Marine 2, it might be 70. Anyway, well, you know, how much was Space Marine 2 at launch?
Here are the top search results.
I tried to ask Google. Google is just, I don't know, man. Google is just garbage. It's crazy. You can't get an answer out of Google. A simple question like, how much was Space Marine 2 at launch? Can't answer that. How much was Space Marine 2 at launch? Grok immediately answered. It was $60. All right. Yeah. These games, super hyper successful, completely embarrassing these AAA gaming studios that are legacy at this point. I don't know how they survive if they're going to be charging $80, $90, $100 when you've got actual better games that were made with passion and love sitting at $60 still. Some of them might even be $70. And they were pretty much feature complete. No game-breaking bugs. I mean, here and there were reports of game-breaking bugs, but you'll have that. Let's see what Bellular News has to say about this whole situation that we've found ourselves in as of late.
Last time in this story, I talked about how change is coming. Today, we will talk about how change is actually here.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of handhelds coming into the market. Hopefully we get a new PSP. I will definitely buy a new PSP. I'll buy a new PSP for $450. I ain't buying a Switch 2 for $450.
This is the Lenovo Legion Go S. And I mean, man, our video on this thing exploded. But today, something fun has happened with that device. A price hike. Daniel Ahmad caught on to this, and here's the damage. This device was announced at $499. Then pre-orders opened at $549 in March, and according to Daniel, who's an analyst who is focused on Asia, so this would be very well within his wheelhouse, the, quote, reciprocal tariffs make it, quote, very likely that price will increase.
You know who started this? You know who the first company was to do these price hikes for like game consoles and games? Nobody bought this because I think nobody really cares about the Meta Quest or the Oculus Quest, whatever you want to call it. It was like $299, I think, and then they hiked it up to $399. They were like, get the Oculus Quest now, or the Meta Quest right now, Meta Quest 2, I believe, for $299, because in a month it's gonna be $399, because we're adding all this new stuff to it. Now you don't hear about the Meta Quest hardly at all. I don't see anything coming from VR. The last thing I heard from VR was that Batman game. And then silence. Nothing. Are there any good VR games coming out? Who even cares?
Who knows, maybe it could be $599. But in a way, whether it will, whether it won't, or how much the price hike could even be, that is almost the point. Us not knowing is almost the point, because that in itself is impacting the market. Price increases are actually happening, but it's not just for high-end devices, and it's not only for America. Today, you'll learn everything that's going on. I've also got a truly no.
That's because these corporations aren't American, they're worldwide. Even the American corporations are worldwide. So if they're gonna increase prices in one place, they're gonna do it in every place. And they're gonna be like, see, the market's bad, even though they're the ones who set the market.
Experience to share. It's Boot Dev who have sponsored today's video. You see, there you can learn the coding, engineering, and career skills to break into back-end web development. It's like an average salary of 100 grand, work from home, and a lot of really sick stuff, but with quite the twist because their founder is a massive gamer, and that's why Boot is different. It's an RPG. Quests, levels, XP, boss battles, real-time leaderboards, and an active Discord community, almost, I guess, like having your programmer MMO guild. It's really cool. And when you're learning a new skill, that kind of thing matters. And the skills you'll be learning are back-end web development using Python and Go across a wealth of content that cover the fundamentals and even deeper learning topics like really getting into algorithms, which, by the way, is real fun. You'll build projects for your portfolio, and you'll dodge two massive problems. One, tutorial hell, where you just bounce from place to place randomly in the internet without a cohesive path. And two, get rich quick style bootcamp hell, because boot is actually realistic. It's got the sauce. You can see that through their UI, their vibes, how they've structured everything, and they're just plain better than the rest. And you can find that out for yourself with 25% off your first purchase at boot.dev/BellularNews. It's no risk. You can browse their content, do demos, and a lot more for free. And when you do buy, it's a 30-day money-back guarantee.
I've used boot.dev in the past before. It's pretty cool. I didn't stick with it. I probably should have. Learn a little bit about programming. I know a little bit about programming because I'm a heavy Linux user, but that's mostly copy paste. I don't really know what I'm doing.
Okay, so to get things started, I'll use the Legion Go S as our product example. When it was announced in January, there were 10% import tariffs against Chinese imports to the US. That basically meant that for every device imported, a 10%
Yeah, and Lenovo's a Chinese company, if I got that right.
fee had to be paid. Now, to be clear, that 10% is not on your final retail price, it's on the price to import the thing. Though here, what we did see is a $50 price increase after those tariffs increased to 20%. So, 20% tariff led to a $50 price hike. Let's keep that ratio in mind and then apply it to the current tariff regime on non-medical products from China, which is 145%. If that ratio
I didn't know we were going to be talking about tariffs so much today. I don't want to hear about medical stuff. Let's get on to the video games.
was to hold, you would be looking at a $1,225 increase on any Lenovo Legion Go S that is imported now. Will that price hike happen? I think no, absolutely not. I mean, that price hike would literally kill the product. I think they would sooner just redirect stock to other markets or take a bit of a cut to their margin. It's hard to say, and from the government's end, it's also hard to say. I mean, as I record this, consoles, accessories, and merchandise are subject to the full tariff. Now, PCs and smartphones are technically exempt, but they might end up falling under any new semiconductor tariff.
They might not get tariffed, but if companies that are trying to sell these products are getting tariffed on other products, they're going to price hike all of their products. Even if they are exempt, you will see a price increase.
But really, it is anyone's guess. And if you're going outside of China, well, for anyone else, there's a 90-day 10% tariff. And again, after that, it's anyone's guess. Who knows where they will go for various different countries. And that is the real point. Uncertainty is bad for business. That hits everyone, and that includes today's second and third targets, Nintendo and Razer. Nintendo have been hit, but they have had some good news. They can now import the Vietnamese-built consoles under the 10% rating, not the 46%.
I'm calling it now. All of this shit that's getting messed up in the market for Nintendo is going to cause them to make lower quality products, especially if they're being assembled in all these random countries and then shipped. Like, who knows where Nintendos are being assembled or created in factories. It's not in Japan. They're not doing it in Japan. Maybe some of them, but they got these all around the world. Somebody who's got more information, let me know. Where are Switch 2s being factoried? Where are they being made? Manufactured, that's what the word I was looking for.
That they feared. And with that happening, pre-orders are actually now back, and Nintendo have chose to eat the 10% tariff on their console margin, but not on accessories. The accessories have went up $5 to $10.
I don't understand why the accessories are going up. Nobody ever buys the accessories except for collectors, really, or people that just, go out on a whim and just buy stuff. They were already overpriced. I don't think anybody's going to be buying Donkey Konga drums or something similar for $100. It's not gonna happen.
So that's Nintendo, but obviously it's not only Nintendo. Razer have pulled Blade 16 pre-orders from the US market. Now its RRP has been $4,500. I can imagine with its pretty high input costs that the tariffs would be flipping brutal. And then there's Framework. Now,
Razer has become known as the Walmart PC company. Corsair is kind of known for that, but Razer has a whole section in pretty much any Walmart that you walk into. I think pretty much nobody was buying Razer products except for people who were buying cheaper products that just worked, And if they raise those up to the prices of other products that are better, people aren't going to buy them. They'll just buy the better products that are the same price. Or the products that aren't known as the Walmart products.
Framework's whole shtick is making consumer-friendly, open, and repairable machines. They do really cool stuff. And with a brand like...
Oh man, this one hurts. I was thinking about getting a Framework laptop. Framework is a really cool system where they have like modular laptops.
Like that, being candid is very advantageous. It's perfectly on message, so they did share a little bit more. Here's what they said. We priced our laptops when tariffs and imports from Taiwan were 0%. At a 10% tariff, we would have to sell the lowest SKUs at a loss. Other consumer goods makers have performed the same calculations and taken the same actions, though most have not been open about it. Yes, so they're implying that there's a lot of impact here. It's just the sort of impact that we're not really seeing because it's not being publicized.
I really want a Framework laptop. I still might get one. I kind of still don't care. And I'll get one because I like the company.
If a product that was going to go on sale is just pulled from sale, but you never knew about it, then guess what? You don't know about it. Now, of course, whenever the Taiwanese imports fell to 10%, Framework were able to restore some product, but not all, because some systems have got parts that are made in China. So expect to see more of this. Right now, if you're in the US, you're being shielded because there are existing stockpiles that are already in the country, and then loads of companies have done rush orders. What that means is you are going to feel the impact much more on newer products. I mean, take one example.
Well, that kind of doesn't affect me then because I don't ever buy newer products. It's very rare that I buy something new. My PC and all the parts of my PC, about 3 years old. I'm probably not going to replace anything unless it breaks.
NVIDIA 5060 cards. We've yet to see how that will fully play out. Now, NVIDIA told PC Gamer, quote, there's not a whole lot we can do about tariffs and that they will work with their partners to get these out at a reasonable price, which we are doing. Which, yeah.
Reasonable price means a reasonable price for them so they could make a shit ton of profits. They don't want to make profits. They want to make a shit ton of profits. They want explosive profits.
No, is fair, that's well and good, but the end results are always going to be raised prices from where they could be. That much is obvious because a market inefficiency has been introduced. There is no way that you are going to escape that, because, well...
It doesn't help that people just don't want these new parts. The NVIDIA graphics cards, the new ones, with the AI in it and shit, they don't really run that well. AMD, their new stuff's killing it.
That's kind of how markets work. Now, if you thought that you could avoid all of this by being outside the US, good news. You can think again. PlayStation just hiked prices in much of the world, so digital consoles...
Of course PlayStation did. They're going to be one of the first, because they're one of the biggest entertainment technology corporations in the world. If not the biggest. No, they're not. Samsung is now. They were one of the, like, top 3. They used to have phones, they used to have TVs.
Consoles cost £40 and €50 more in the UK and EU, and both editions are up again in Australia and New Zealand. They're up 80 and 130 Aussie dollars and 150 and 210 Kiwi dollars, which is pretty bloody rough. And per Sony, this is because of a, quote, challenging economic environment, including high inflation and fluctuating exchange rates. Which, to be fair to them, is kind of true. Basically, a weak yen...
Yeah, it's true, but they're taking advantage of it. They're like, oh, hey, inflation, the markets are going crazy and changing. This is a pretty good excuse for us to raise our prices on everything. And everybody will just be like, oh, it's because of the tariffs, oh, it's because of inflation. But we can mark up pretty much however much we want, as long as people will still buy it. The problem is, we're at the edge of people not buying anything. You'll own nothing and be happy. We're just gonna have one little device that costs us $100 that's gonna have everything on it. It's gonna have all of our games that we're renting on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus or whatever's on the little stick. That's where you're gonna watch all your movies. That's where all the ads are gonna be. Your TV's not even gonna work unless you got that stick plugged into it.
And inflation across the manufacturing process combined with already razor-thin margins. And we know, but we can also infer that those margins are razor-thin, because this is a console generation that has seen far less deep discounting than the previous console gen. We are just not seeing the deals that we saw with the Xbox One and the PS4. I mean, it's actually been the opposite. 2022 saw a £30 and €50 increase for UK and Europe. And certainly I do think, at least with Sony though, Xbox's weakness.
We're raising the prices of these things when we're starting to enter the next generation. The Switch 2 is coming in like 2 months, and they're marking the next generation, even though they're technically a generation behind. But we're getting all these price hikes when people already have all this stuff, and that's probably a big reason. Like, oh, well, you've been out of the market, so like, if you want in, you're gonna have to pay this premium.
Has all but killed any appetite that PlayStation would have for sacrificing margin to gain market share. Because, you know, they already have all that market share. Microsoft flubbed it. But you've probably noticed something, though. All those price increases are outside of America. Yes, they're not US price hikes. You might be wondering how. You might be wondering why. Well, the inflation argument is likely true. But PlayStation, you have to remember, are working within a global market. It's not like America will just be its own little bubble. Sony can effectively subsidize the potential tariff increases in one territory by closing currency conversion gaps in other territories.
How do we make money on these consoles and not price everybody out in America? We don't raise the prices in America so we can doubly raise the prices everywhere else where there's less people anyway buying it. Because the biggest market is in America.
And that's especially relevant in a world of region-free consoles, which of course is the world that Sony are operating in. If currencies are in your favor, you can just import a console and save a shitload of money.
I'm seeing him show a whole lot of games that are on other systems, except for Ratchet and Clank and Gran Turismo. For now, showing a whole lot of systems that are just like on other systems.
And I'm really not making this up. The Switch 2 is actually amazing proof of this. Japan's much discounted Switch 2 is a region-locked model. It's 49,980 yen.
It's region-locked, you say? There will be people buying it and unlocking that region lock. Guaranteed. It won't take long at all. Probably immediately. That's one thing I'm excited for. What's it gonna look like when people crack these things immediately? How easy is it gonna be to crack? What did Nintendo implement to try and fight against cracking the system that's gonna actually hurt the system and make it easier to crack? Like what happened with the Switch 1. They had to re-release the Switch because people cracked the original model that released. Now if you want one of those original Switches, you've got to look for them. They're out there.
And that price is actually sticker shocking Japanese consumers, even though at the time it equated out to $330, which is a lot less than the Switch 2 base price in the US, though that $330 is now more like $350 because the US dollar has, of course, relatively weakened in that currency pair. Anyway, there is another factor with the PS5. That factor is timing. PS5 has only just begun to outpace the relative PS4 sales, but something's about to happen, and that something is called GTA 6. So if there ever was a time to lock in your prices that include a decent margin, it is now, before GTA. And
yeah, you don't want people going to just buy something else. You don't want somebody to go get like a mini PC or something for like $400 that can play GTA 6 on medium settings. You don't want people to go do that, because they will. People will do anything to get GTA 6. They want to play it, and if they can't afford it on new hardware, because this is going to be the game that gets them to buy new hardware, because there are some people that only play GTA. They don't really play video games. I know a couple of them. They'll jump on GTA Online like once a week because they work all the time. And they've been doing this for years. And they will go out and buy a new system. They'll go out and get the PS5 Pro Enhanced just to play GTA 6. Because they want the biggest, best, newest thing for the best gaming experience they could possibly have on their favorite game. And I understand that. I like that too. That's pretty much the whole reason why I bought my PC in the first place. Because I had a lot of games that were running pretty poorly at the time.
And as both the Switch 2 and the PS5 show, it's not just a US thing. I know a lot of us are PC gamers here, so let's take a step back. Say you don't want new hardware.
Death Stranding 2 has got me wanting a PS5. Not gonna lie, but I think that I'm just gonna have to wait for it to release on Steam like a year later. It's probably what's gonna happen. It'll be okay. I don't have bad case of FOMO on anything ever, really.
And you're not planning on buying physical games. I mean, there's no tariffs on Steam, so surely we're golden, we're fine, right? No, absolutely not. There's a expectancy, number one, of some form of global recession from all of the uncertainty and the trade changes. That means less funding for all developers, especially indies. That means fewer games, and it means fewer games that are different. By different, I mean new IP, unproven ideas. And I have first-person accounts of this from people I know who went to this year's GDC to do business, saw all the different publishers.
You know what's really gonna be affected by all these price hikes? The quality of games at their price point. I think $60, 8 out of 10 games are going to destroy, absolutely annihilate the $80, $90, $100, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 games that are just there to make the most money as possible for the corporations who had them made. Nobody's going to be wanting to play those. We're seeing it now. People are paying $60 Space Marine 2, like I said, Space Marine 2, $50 for Oblivion Remastered. This is an old game. All they did was put a new coat of paint on it and change a couple things. People still bought it in droves. It completely embarrassed Microsoft's new Avowed game that's technically better in a lot of aspects. But, it was made to pander, and that's what happens.
And I can add to that, of course, the wealth of devs, publishers, and analysts who are reporting on this as well. That is happening. There is less money on all sides, and that does include margin-friendly nice-to-haves, or maybe things that would be used to creep up the margin.
I haven't played Expedition yet. Expedition 33. I really want to. I might end up getting this game also in like a month. I just bought Oblivion Remastered, so I don't really have the funds to pay for a nearly full price game again. And I don't have a device that can play Game Pass, and I'm not playing it on my phone.
I mean, where is merchandise made? Where are collector's editions made? You've got a global economy that is built on exploiting the cheap industrial capacity of Southeast Asian nations. And I mean, beyond merch, consider card games and board games. Helldivers has a board game. Riot has got a card game. Those will be massively impacted because almost all board games are made in China. Trust me, I actually looked into making board games in UK and US. Holy shit, it is expensive. Like, so expensive that people would literally just not buy the box set. And I mean, we all know how expensive board games can be.
I tried to get into board games, I really did. But when the board games cost as much or more than new AAA titles, video games, then I'm priced out, man. For something that's just gonna sit on the shelf most of the time. I walk into game stores, for years and years, they'll have the same board games, barely even get touched. $60 board games, $70, $80, $100 board games, sometimes more. And they'll sit on the shelves for years. The packaging starts to degrade, the dust starts to collect, starts to look bad, so they mark them down, they mark them on sale. And that's when they get bought.
As it is, even with those economies of scale. So it's pretty rough. And of course, if some manufacturing capacity was to appear or to increase in, say, US and UK, well, the incumbents would be the people able to eat up all of that capacity, making it vastly harder for newcomers to enter and disrupt that market. So what's going to happen? Will the price of collector's editions go up? I mean, in a way, I'd say yes. And
they already have, by a lot. I remember when collector's editions were $100, $120, $150, somewhere around there. I think Halo Reach had a $150 collector edition. I'm seeing them go for $250, $350, and they're just packing in toys and crap and like paper products. Remember the Fallout 76 collector's edition? The stuff that you got that canvas bag. Remember the canvas bag situation? Ended up being like a plastic tarp.
another way, I'd say no, not just that. Collector's editions don't exist in a bubble. They've got a purpose, right? They are high margin in order to increase the overall margin of the product line. But there's only so much demand elasticity. If you keep on just passing all those prices to the consumer, you'll eventually get to the stage where it's now too niche of a product. a business will still want to optimize their average sale price. They'll still want to do everything they can to get revenue up. That is, after all, the purpose of a collector's edition. And so if we move into an environment where the unit economics just don't support things like collector's editions, then we can expect to see digital price increases, more advanced access things, more cosmetics. Indeed, we're already seeing funky stuff between digital and physical pricing. But with all this, if there's one thing that I would just personally implore you to think about the most out of anything I have said,
People have been complaining for years that digital games don't cost as much to manufacture and to send out copies. Physical games should be more expensive. We should have cheaper digital versions. No, what they did instead was they kept the digital prices the same and then upped the cost for physical instead of dropping the prices for digital. That's what happened.
expect the vast majority of these changes to happen silently without your overt knowledge. We will not know what price a new game would have been in another timeline, so we cannot run that comparison. We only have the timeline that we've got. We only have the market that we have got. And
yeah, you just have to look at the competition and what the competition is doing. If $60 games are outselling the $80 games and getting higher ratings because of the price, because the price of a game really does affect the rating. If you get a 7 out of 10 game that's $20, it becomes an 8 out of 10. It's still a 7 out of 10 game, but it becomes an 8 out of 10 because it was only $10 or $20, sometimes $10.
that means that things could have went in a different way and better way with, say, some game pricing and some business model stuff, but we will never know that because the market that would have allowed for that is not the market that we have. It's the kind of thing we're looking at the state of the industry. Well, with physical products becoming a less reliable revenue source, digital will be the comparatively more reliable one. That's where, of course, investment will go, because reliability is good in business. And what will that do? That will accelerate many of the trends that this channel grapples with.
I'm making a prediction now that gaming is going to be mostly cloud-based going forward. In the future, it's going to be mostly cloud-based. Most games, you'll only be able to play on services like Game Pass. Sure, you'll be able to buy the game so you could be able to play the game all the time, but it's still going to be cloud-based and you'll have to stream it because it's going to be online only. That's what everything is headed towards. All these single-player games that are online, that are required online to play, eventually they'll just be completely cloud-based. You won't be able to own your copy. Just look at The Crew. They shut that down, removed it from people's libraries. That's the future. That's what the future holds for the gaming industry. And I'll just not play new games at all. I refuse to get Game Pass. It's cheaper for me to just buy games, because I don't buy full price games. And I don't need to play the newest best. It costs me less money to buy a new game every 6 months. That's about when I buy a new game, every 6 months. Talking about new games. I buy indie games all the time, and retro games all the time, because they're cheap. And they remind me of the PS2 era, the PS2 days, and the 360 days, when the gaming market made fucking sense.
Be that your advanced early access, all the fun forms of price laddering and upsells, etc., advertisements in games, those are the things that will increase and increase and increase as the unit economics gets worse from just selling a game, selling merch for a game, or hardware. That slack will need to be picked up somewhere else. Expect it to be ads, expect it to be business model, expect it to be prices. And perhaps most of all, for the strategic mega
expect that they're going to start trying new things. They're going to be putting money into trying new things so that they could possibly save money. And it's not gonna work, and then they're gonna be like, shit, in order to pay for this stuff that we got, like this cloud-based server thing that we got for most of our games, we're gonna have to price hike. We're gonna have to jump the prices way high so we can pay for all of this bloat.
in gaming expect more user-generated content. Whenever I say that, what do you think of? You think of Fortnite, you think of Roblox, maybe Minecraft. Well, think about mods, because the role of mods is changing, and you can learn about that in the next video.
Yeah, I think mods are gonna be a really big thing. I think we're gonna start seeing games that are gonna be charging for mods. Bethesda really started it and they failed miserably at it, and they're still failing at it, but they're still trying and trying and trying. Eventually, It's gonna be like, oh, well, you paid full price for your game. We allow mods if you pay $10 for the mod menu, for the in-game mod menu. If you don't have the mod menu to play our curated mods, then you can't play with mods. We will ban you. That's what's gonna happen. That's how mods are gonna become popular in like every game. It's gonna be curated mods. Anything else besides the curated mods, your account will get banned. And you'll probably have to pay for most of them. There'll be free mods, but they're gonna be small and not worth it. I'm excited for the future and also worried about the future at the same time, because in some aspects, it's looking really good. In others, it's looking really bad, at least for AAA gaming. But AAA gaming's been going downhill since the 360 era. I think they were going uphill until they got to the end of the life of 360 when the Xbox One came out, and they were pushing more for online, everything being online. That's when everything started rolling downhill, getting worse and worse and worse. And as new generations pick it up, they're like, well, I don't remember what it was like yesterday. I know what it's like today, and I like playing video games, so I'm not going to complain about it. Then they join everybody else when the next generation comes up, and the way they used to play games is worse now. And then the new generation's like, it's not that bad, at least we get to play games. And then the next generation comes, and they're like, what is happening? Everything's getting that's gonna keep happening until nobody's playing video games. Or everything's being pirated and emulated, and people are just playing mods for old games. That's why remasters are getting so popular. Remasters of remakes. Because nobody wants to play these new games. They all feel like they're made just to make money. Not for you to actually have fun and have a good time. You were there as the cash cow. Anyway, that's all I've got for this video today. Check out my other videos today. Buy a t-shirt or something down there in the description. They're my designs. I made them myself. I worked hard. Be awesome, man. Be awesome. Buy a shirt or a mug or a hat or something. I'm out.